Tearing families apart. You don't belong here.
Sir, back up from the line.
You terrorize immigrants every day. We don't want you in Minneapolis.
Keep it peaceful, please.
It's peaceful until you start dragging people out of their homes. We're not going anywhere.
Stay behind.
For the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, what are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
All right, y'all. So basically, the ICE agents' vehicles that were parked on the street in the shooting that just happened yesterday in Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, basically they had to leave their cars behind because they got surrounded by protesters, right? One of the ICE agents' vehicles got broken into and they found paperwork, okay, y'all? It has a list with FBI operation info in it. It actually got full names of FBI agents, phone numbers, emails, and things like that. They're also stating that basically they have revealed 21 secret ICE programs showing alarming covert operations far beyond routine immigration enforcement, y'all. They leaked internal documents marked law enforcement sensitive information, y'all. This is getting really, really crazy. The people that's out there in Minneapolis are actually standing up and they're not playing.
And so for some people, they call that a strike. For many of us, we say that this is our right to refusal until something changes. On Friday, January 23rd, we are calling for a day of truth and freedom. It is a day where every single Minnesotan who loves this state and loves this idea, this notion of truth and freedom reigning true here, will refuse to work, to shop, and to go to school.
Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. So right now, Minneapolis is once again at the center of national attention. Protests have broken out, tensions are rising, and the story is already being framed very differently depending on who you listen to. So today, let's slow this down and talk about what is actually happening and why people are protesting and what this could mean next. So over the past several days, Minneapolis has seen large demonstrations following a controversial federal law enforcement operation which was tied to immigration enforcement. So the protests began after a deadly incident which was involving a federal immigration agent, which quickly sparked outrage among local activists, community leaders, and residents. The protesters say they are demanding accountability and transparency. Many argue that federal immigration enforcement has become too aggressive and that local communities are being caught in the middle. Some demonstrators are calling for limits on federal involvement altogether, while others want independent investigations into how these operations are conducted. So federal officials, meanwhile, they say that the operation was legal and necessary, and they were emphasizing public safety and enforcement of existing laws. But the local and state leaders have urged calm, and they are stressing the importance of peaceful protests while also preparing for potential escalation if tension continues. So guys, let's watch some clips which have gone viral about the protest in Minneapolis, and then I will come back with more commentaries.
All right, y'all. So basically, the ICE agents' vehicles that were parked on the street in the shooting that just happened yesterday in Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, basically they had to leave their cars behind because they got surrounded by protesters, right? One of the ICE agents' vehicles got broken into and they found paperwork, okay, y'all? It has a list with FBI operation info in it. It actually got full names of FBI agents, phone numbers, emails, and things like that. They're also stating that basically they have revealed 21 secret ICE programs showing alarming covert operations far beyond routine immigration enforcement, y'all. They leaked internal documents marked law enforcement sensitive information, y'all. This is getting really, really crazy. The people that's out there in Minneapolis are actually standing up and they're not playing. They're calling them, well, actually, Trump wants to invoke the Insurrection Act actually after this. He's basically made a post and he basically stated that he's basically pulling this right out of an authoritarian fucking playbook. He blamed a targeted group for a crime and national decay, right, y'all? He uses state violence against them, provoke resistance, and then weaponize that resistance to rationalize far more extreme abuse of power, right, y'all? The exact cycle that is how democracies collapse and how regimes like Hitler's consolidated control, right? Because if you look at his post, right, he stated, if the corrupted politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, right? Even though we know Trump don't give a fuck about no patriots, there are plenty and plenty of fucking homeless veterans, okay, y'all, sleeping outside in the city of Chicago right now as we speak, sleeping outside in fucking LA, sleeping outside everywhere. There are plenty of homeless veterans. If you give a fuck about a patriot, you do more, okay, y'all? This is about authoritarianism, and it's another form of fucking slavery, and people are not recognizing what's happening, okay, y'all? This is actually legalized trafficking, okay, y'all? He said, who are only trying to do their job. No, they're not. They're doing way more than what the fuck their job is supposed to be, okay, y'all? He said, I will institute the Insurrection Act, okay, y'all, in Minnesota, which many presidents have done before him, he said, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in the once great state.
We all have witnessed through several videos the murder of one of our own, Renee Good. There are lies being spewed about our neighbors here to give an excuse to try to validate why we have thousands of masked officers here harming our people and harming us, taking citizens from where they work, beating people up and dropping them off at random locations. This is not rumor. We are seeing it with our own eyes every single day. This day that we are calling for, we now have 10 days to get there. And in those 10 days, we are calling on all Minnesotans to get your plan together. We're doing it with unions, like the St. Paul Federation of Educators, Unite Here Local 17, SEIU Local 26, our ATU, our transit union here in Minnesota, and many, many more unions are gathering. This is also with faith and community groups like Isaiah, Unidos, Jewish Community Action, COPAL, and many, many more. The list continues to grow. We have to make sure that every single person is doing what we are called to do in this time, that is grounded in their commitment and in their conviction. And so for some people, they call that a strike. For many of us, we say that this is our right to refusal until something changes.
Everybody back! Everybody back! Everybody stay back! Everybody stay back!
Let them do their thing, yeah. They were just released, detained from the tribe.
One of their boots, 511 Tactical. We actually saw them shop at this store. They got it in Richmond.
In January 2026, amid intense clashes in Minneapolis, Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agents have reportedly abandoned vehicles during operations as they were swarmed by angry crowds. These incidents are part of a broader surge in immigration enforcement that has triggered violent protests following the fatality of Renee Nicole Good by an ICE agent on January 7, 2026. During a violence-plagued night in mid-January 2026, protesters in Minneapolis reportedly chased federal agents out of neighborhoods. In one instance, a vehicle used by agents was left behind and subsequently vandalized with threatening graffiti, including the phrase, "Only good agent is a dead one."
what is interesting is how quickly this story has become political. Some media outlets are framing the protest as a civil rights issue, while others are focusing on law and order. And as expected, national politicians have weighed in, often reinforcing divisions rather than offering solutions. So Minneapolis isn't just another city in the conversation. Because of its history with large-scale protests, events here often become symbolic, setting the tone for similar demonstrations nationwide. So that's why what happens next matters far beyond Minnesota. At this point in time, several things could happen. Protests could calm as investigations move forward, or they could spread further if new incidents occur. Much will depend on how authorities respond, how protest leaders organize, and whether a meaningful dialogue actually takes place. So no matter where you fall politically, this situation raises serious questions about enforcement, accountability, and how quickly moments like this can escalate. Guys, there is a new development which is adding up fuel to the situation. So according to law enforcement officials, there are allegations that sensitive documents may have been taken during the protests. So authorities say that they are still working to determine what was accessed, how it happened, and whether the documents were actually removed or it's simply compromised. So at this stage, officials stress that details are still unclear and no final conclusions have been reached. So investigators are reviewing the surveillance footages and internal records, and they say more information will be released once the investigation is complete. So guys, I want you to watch next clips, and then in the next clips you are going to see the alleged documents being taken by the protesters. So watch, then you give your comments down below.
Some arrest warrants. Arrest warrants. Oh, what the hell? Bro, oh shit. Bro, you not arrest warrants. Hey, take these bitches to the news.
For the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, what are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
Okay, so that's the latest update from the president regarding the Insurrection Act. Doesn't sound like he's going to invoke it. You go online, you'll see a lot of conservatives calling for the Insurrection Act to be invoked. One option against it, or explanation against it, would be because that's what Democrats want him to do. Because if he sends the National Guard in there and he does all this, it will support their talking point to the American people that he is a fascist. Now, we know he isn't, but maybe the administration knows that this is not the appropriate time. But what I find to be interesting, while the president is saying this just moments ago, this is what's happening currently in Minnesota at ICE headquarters. Take a look.
The streets of Minneapolis, where you can see there, these are protesters, ICE protesters, that are now what looks like engaging physically with ICE agents. They're outside the headquarters there in Minneapolis, and we've been covering this for the last few days. As you know, there's been a barrier with the law enforcement protecting the building of headquarters from protesters. We've seen protesters sort of attach themselves to vehicles, try to provoke agents. We've seen some small incidences of violence during the day. And here we see what looks to be an arrest occurring on the other side of that chain link fence. You can see as well the signs, which some of which have words we can't say on live television right now.
Okay, so last night I was on Timcast IRL, and this particular point was brought up. Why do American citizens, particularly the ones you keep seeing in these dramatic videos, even Renee Good, for an example, what is motivating them to actually get into physical altercations with law enforcement? Some would say it's the rhetoric from their elected representatives. I think that's a part of it. But I think the main reason is that the local police department is handicapped from holding these people accountable. People that are continuing to impede ICE operation should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. They're not being held accountable. And that's why this is going to continue to happen, which is why I'm on the side of invoking the Insurrection Act. Okay, let's go to this interview with Tricia McLaughlin because things just got heated. Take a listen.
What do you say to those who watch that and other videos that they're seeing themselves? I mean, this is not just the mainstream media. This is, people are seeing these videos and they're concerned that a place like Minnesota is turning into a police state, and they're going up to U.S. citizens asking for ID and you know, using
I think that there's a lot of fear mongering going on. I think by the media.
But it's not. Hold on. Let me just correct you right there. Let me just. They're watching these videos and using their independence of mind. It's not the media.
No, actually, it is the media, and we're seeing it time and time again by saying things like the police state. What we're seeing is rampant violence against our law enforcement, highly coordinated. We have our legal authorities. When individuals see videos like that, you have to ask the question, was this individual obstructing law enforcement, which is a federal crime? Were they assaulting law enforcement, which is a felony? Were any of those instances occurring before this video was cut? Because you saw a very short cut, and that's what I'm talking about the media. There is not a lot of context that's being out there.
Well, then why don't you allow
very
ICE officers to wear the cameras?
We of course allow them to wear. They often
they all have. Well, they all have body
we
cameras.
We are working on that with the one big beautiful bill. Actually, I think we can talk about the incident from last week where that law enforcement officer.
News, though.
If I can finish, that law enforcement officer, he actually filmed himself being obstructed by these individuals who are on the ground, who are harassing him. This vehicle being blocked in, and that actually largely vindicated him. And actually everything that DHS has said up until that point was corroborated.
And we keep going back to it.
I have a PSA directly from Minnesota, some contacts there who have told me this and who believe this to be true. There are protests happening in Minnesota, in Minneapolis this weekend, but they are also going to be flying in January 6thers to agitate and to incite violence. So if you are going out to protest this weekend, whether it's Minneapolis or anywhere else, please be peaceful. Don't let agitators incite violence, because that's exactly what they want. President Piggy is already talking about using the Insurrection Act. So we need to be careful. We need to be cognizant. We need to be seeing what is happening on the streets. Keep yourself safe. Keep your communities safe. And don't let these January 6thers come into our lives and do the things that we know that they want to do.
Let's be really fucking clear about what action actually looks like and how the next steps that are taken will shape this country for the next 10 plus years. When riots and obstruction replace the rule of law, the federal government has a duty to step in. That means using every legal tool available to restore law and order, including federal authority when states refuse to do their job. We are looking at you, Minnesota. It means arresting rioters and any of the officials that are actively aiding in this lawlessness, Tim Waltz. It means ICE being able to do their job at full strength. It means enforcing existing immigration law. It means deporting those who are here illegally and denaturalizing cases proven to be involved with fraud. Minnesota. No apologies for enforcing the law. Not a single fucking one. This right here, this is the line in the sand. Either criminal chaos gets normalized and we just like deal with this shit forever, or law and order does and we're all safer and better off for it. I know what side I'm choosing.
So guys, I will continue following up on this story very closely, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But as always, keep it respectful, guys. So if you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe, guys, so that each time I upload a new video you get notified.